Hi everyone, it's Stacy from PeonyLaneDesigns.com. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? If not, click the little blue button. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, comment down below, like this video, and click the bell icon to be notified. You ready for a makeover? Remember this guy? The magazine rack I picked up for like next to nothing. I've given it a bath and it's still really nasty. Like I couldn't scrub some of this stuff off, so it's gonna need a paint job. But it's had a few paint jobs. Check that out. So we've got turquoise and pink and like a salmon color. And then of course this lovely green that's over the top. Some of it is peeling off. You can see some of the light pink coming through. So I thought, what if I sanded it back to see some of these colors come through if they're under there. I want to test a little spot. Obviously, it's going to still need a fresh coat of paint, and I'm thinking pink and flowers. I thought about putting like a decoupage on it and then sanding that back with it. Like a distressed, like either I'm going to put something like this on it, on the front, the decals, and then sand it like I want it to look really aged and have a lot of the colors coming through. But I'm gonna test the little section. So I can see little bits and pieces where the paint has flaked off here. So I believe it's painted all the way through. But I want to sand it. Well, no, look, there. I've got a chip there. I got a chip there and it looks like it's going through. I think this will be okay. I think if I go ahead and paint the silk paint on it. So this is Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint from Dixie Belle, right? Not sponsored. I don't sell Dixie Belle. I don't sell paint. But it's this nice light pink color over the top of this and then sand it back. You're seeing it, right? Am I the only one seeing it? But we're going to have to paint this before we put any flowers or transfers on it. And I need to decide if it's going to be a floral or a transfer of a bird or a label, like one of the French labels that I've got. So I'll figure that out. But first things first is we got to get the whole thing painted. And then I'll put whatever on it and then we'll sand it back. Okay? So I think this is a pretty pink that's going to, like when you pull the green through, is going to look super pretty. And then I decided to decoupage on top of it. And I decided to use the decoupage paper that I got, that I did that tray with, that I did that tray project a while back. Same pink I think we used on it. But what I've done is I started to pre-distress it because this stuff is strong, y'all. Like this paper that I got, this decoupage paper, it has like a fabric texture for those of you who may not have seen the other video. And it was hard to, like, I sanded down on that because it was like, it lifted up those fibers on that tray. And it didn't tear this. So I was thinking it's got to be distressed before it goes on here. So I cut some holes. And then I actually took scissors and cut along the edge. And let me show you how. I took actually my sewing scissors and I cut straight down into the fabric. And then I started pulling. Because I didn't want it to have like a perfectly straight edge anywhere except the sides where it's going to be placed like this. So I wanted the sides to match up, but I didn't want the top to be a perfectly straight line, and you can see that it's not, and I didn't want the bottom to be a perfectly straight line, although the bottom will be pretty close to straight. And then I wanted there to be holes in there in different places, so you can see I cut a hole, and then I went ahead, because I couldn't tear this with my hands. This amazing decoupage paper, super duper strong. So I cut the hole, and then I just started pulling so that you have like a ragged edge around. Ooh, can't even hold on to it. But you can see it was perfectly straight here. So maybe you can't. That's better that way. It's perfectly straight. And then I just pulled because I don't want there to be a straight edge. I wanted it to be jagged or distressed. So that's what I think is going to work on this. In my mind, like I'm going to need a t-shirt that says, in my mind, this should work. Because that's how I, like most of the time I'm like, in my mind, this is going to work. And in my mind, this was the way to do it, was to pre-distress this piece, because I did not think this was going to distress easily. So I'm actually going to keep pulling at the pieces that have straight edges or that look factory finished. So like here where I actually cut a deep V and then into it, I'm going to pull to give it a ragged edge. Because I'm going to heavily distress this magazine bin. And I want some detail on the front, some vintagey looking detail on the front. So I think adding this will make it super pretty. And then when I distress and you start seeing the green peek through in different places, it's going to look even better. In my mind, I can see it. But I didn't want to have, like I said, straight edges or factory finished edges. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to pull it apart. And then I do want to find my iron. My whole family is denying any culpability in the fact that our clothes iron has disappeared. But the last time I did decoupage this tissue paper, these creases where it was folded in the package did not go away. So I need to find a way to smooth this out. Found the iron. It got moved, but we found it now and I ironed it and it came out really, really well. So what I did was I put it under a flour sack towel on top of another flour sack towel so that I didn't scorch it or melt it, because I don't really know what this is. And I was afraid that if I put any kind of heat on it, it was going to melt to my iron. Didn't want that. I did use steam. So I did put it on a pretty high setting. It was under, like I said, under the flour sack towel. And then I used steam and I just did like 2 or 3 passes, kept checking it in between to make sure that, you know, it didn't melt. That was my biggest concern, was I don't know what this is and it's going to melt all over my iron, but it didn't. It didn't melt over the fabric and it didn't melt onto my iron. So it's smooth now. All of those creases are gone. We can decoupage it down. I am just going to put a nice even coat of decoupage glue over the whole thing. I'm not as concerned with precise and all that good stuff, like laying this thing out, because it's going to be way distressed. We are doing a deep, deep distress on this thing. Oh, Margot hair. Get that off there. Pull the paper out here where I've got the holes that I purposely created. I think I just need to put a layer of glue over the top and get all those edge pieces down. What it looks like right now, which is not bad. I mean, it could stop here. You can see it looks a little distressed around the edges. It doesn't look horrible, right? So, I mean, we could leave it like this, but my vision is definitely to see that green and those other colors that were underneath that green come through a bit. So, well, more than a bit. More than a little bit. It's going to come through a lot. Okay, so we're on day 3 of this project. And I got asked once why sometimes my smaller projects seem to take several days when it should only take a few hours. Yes, it should only take a few hours, but I'm working on these smaller projects in between other projects. So what you're seeing is several days cut together, but while this is drying, going and doing something else, while that project's drying, I'm coming back to this. So you're seeing bits and pieces over several days. If that makes sense. So I'm trying to maximize how much I get done in a day by not waiting for this to dry and then going to the next thing. And, you know, so there you go. For those of you who are curious, because I had one person reach out to me and was like, why would it take several days to do this small project? And I'm like, well, because it does. You know, I'm not sitting down and doing a small project. That's a luxury that you have when you're working on your own projects at home. And it's like, today I'm going to do this. I'm working on filling a booth and a shop. So it's like, okay, while that's drying, I'm over here and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this. So I woke up this morning though with the intention of finishing this one. So, because all I have to do is distress it, right? Here's what it looks like now, which I think this would be cute on its own like this. Like if we left it like this, super cute. Love that pre-distressed look. You could put a glaze over this and be done with it. But I desperately want to see these colors come through. So if you look at the back, it had several colors. It had like a peach, like a turquoise, a green, this other pink painted over it sometime in the past by a previous owner. And I want those little bits of life to come back through here and show. So I'm going to get some sandpaper and I'm going to be very intentional about how I sand, which means like the parts that I cut out of the center of this are going to get sanded. So remember I pre-distressed and I've got a hole right here. I'm going to sand that away so you see some of the color so that that distressing of that paper makes sense. This is a 220 grit that I picked out, which has like a finish sand. It's a denser grain. It doesn't take away as much of the paint because I want more control over how much I'm taking off. So if I wanted to just go ham on this and strip it down to bare wood, I could grab an 80 grit, but because there are layers of color under here that I'm trying to get multiple layers to come through, I want to have more control. So I'm using the 220 grit. There's method to the madness, and you can always ask me why I do things if I don't remember to tell you. So if I don't say why I'm grabbing this one instead of that one, ask in the comments. I don't mind. All right. So you can see here that not all of the pieces of the fabric, can you see it? It's hard to know what you guys can see on the camera. You can see that moving right there. So not all of the fabric, the decoupage paper laid down. I'm going to rip that off. So I don't want it getting gummed up in my paper, but I am also going to hit the edge here right away. I'm going to start with the edge so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm lightly sanding away the pink. Because it's facing you, I can't actually see what's coming through, but I can see some green, it looks like on the camera, coming through. Yep. And for this type of distressing, this is going to take a while. If you're trying to get layers to come up, then it's going to take a little more effort on your part. You can't, I could take a electric sander and just go at this, but again, that's going to power it down to raw wood, and I want the layers of color to come through. So if you want that level of detail, you're going to have to take some time. And there, it's starting to come through real nice. So you can see the green and the whites coming through, and looks like maybe the turquoise a little bit there. That's what we're after, is that kind of layers of color coming up. So I'm going to put you on time lapse because it's not really much fun for you to watch me sand. Maybe if I put some funky music on it, it'll be better. What? All right, this has taken several hours. You can see it is distressed to different levels. Some of the orange is coming through. Down here, some of the wood is actually showing through. Up here, I mean, it's just really pretty the way that the layers of paint come through. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to put a layer of glaze over the whole thing just because I want it darken and really make it kind of aged looking. So I've got a rag here that I took all my dust off with, and I'm going to get it wet, get it ready, and we're going to glaze the whole thing with the Rust-Oleum cabinet glaze. So I have this, which was from a cabinet glazing kit or cabinet painting kit. It is exactly the same as their chalked glaze in the aged. So not the smoked, but the aged glaze is exactly this glaze. I'm just gonna wipe it on and wipe it off. And you can see it just mutes down everything, kind of blends everything all together, gives it that aged look. So that's what I'm going to do. So there's projects that you do that you love and you're happy to put a price tag on them. And then there's pieces like this that you love and you don't want to let it go. This is a one of a kind. I am in love with this. I have no use for it, so it will get sold. But it's one of those pieces that if I were living alone and I didn't have a husband who hates flowers, I would keep this. I would, oh. This is one of those pieces that I'm really proud of. I'm happy with it. I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I would keep this in a heartbeat. This is going to be a hard one to put a price tag on, and you know, you kind of hope it doesn't sell. I hope it doesn't sell, and then I have to take it home and love it. I can't keep them all. But there are times that I finish a project and I'm like, it's okay. I like it. It's pretty. Put a price tag on it. And then there are the pieces like this that it exceeds what was in my head. And this is one of them. This is better than it looked in my brain. So all those times I say, in my mind, it should work out. And it doesn't. This is one of the rare occasions where it's far better. It's better. So let me get some close-up pictures and show you. I will be heartbroken to see it go, and at the same time, I'll be very happy for the person that gets it, and I'll be glad that somebody's going to love it as much as I do. I do. I think it could be like, I think you could put flowers in it, and it would be just a pretty wall decor piece. I think you could put your cutting boards in it in your kitchen, or, you know, magazines in your bathroom, in your powder room, things like that. It's just a versatile piece. Just depends on your sense of style. I love it. I am going to put a price tag on it. It's going to go to Vintage Junkie with the stool this week. So thanks for watching, you guys. Happy junkin'. Bye. Visit my blog, peonylanedesigns.com, for more tips, tricks, and inspiration. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified of new videos. I post every week, DIY tutorials, and of course, more junkin videos.